We're continuing with Chapter 2 Problems, Section 2.4, Part 1. Solve using algebra. Define a variable, set up an equation, solve, and check. Now, when we're checking word problems or puzzle problems, which is how I like to think about these problems, what that means is you have to make sure it makes sense at the end. You're not checking it in an equation because there is no equation in the original problem. So let's look at number 2. The difference between 3 times a number and 4 is 5 times the number. Find the number. So the first clue is that we are looking for a number. So to define our variable, we need to define what we're going to call the number. So let's say let the number be, how about n? N for number. All right, now we need to read the statement again. The difference between 3 times the number and 4 is 5 times the number. So we see this word is, that's going to be where the equal sign is. So there's the part before that is going to be on one side, the difference between 3 times the number and 4. That's going to be on one side of the equal sign. And on the other side is going to be 5 times the number. So we've got our equal sign. All right, on the left side, the difference. What does the difference mean? That means subtract. All right, so what are we subtracting? 3 times a number and 4. Well, that's broken up by the word is, and breaks it up between the two pieces. So 3 times a number is in front of the minus sign, and the number 4 then is on the other side. So that'll give us 3 times a number would be 3n. And the other part of the number 4 is going to be on the subtracting end. So we have 3n minus 4. That's the left side of the equal sign here. And then 5 times the number. That's simpler since the number is n. That'll be 5n. So there's our equation. 3n minus 4 equals 5n. So now we need to solve for n. Since the constant's only on one side and there's variables on both sides, let's put both of the variables on the right-hand side. So I want to subtract 3n from both sides. So let's subtract 3n from both sides. And we get negative 4 equals 2n. And then we would just divide both sides by 2. And we get n is negative 2. Now, remember, this is a word problem. It doesn't say find n. It says find the number. So we're going to have to write our answer in words. If it's a word problem, you write your answer in words. So it looks like the number is 2. So if this is correct, negative 2. The number is negative 2. So it looks like that's going to be the answer, but what we want to do is check it by using our common sense. So it says, the difference between 3 times a number and 4. Well, what's 3 times a number? Well, 3 times the number is negative 6. So let's go down here a little to check. 3 times the number would mean be negative 6, right? We're going to do the difference of that in 2. And 4. The difference of negative 6 and 4 would mean you subtract, which is negative 10. Okay. Is that the same as 5 times the number, which is negative 2? Well, that's also negative 10. So what you're doing is going back to the words and see if it makes sense. This answer of negative 2, does it make sense if the number is negative 2? And yes, it checks. So notice the way I'm doing this. I'm not plugging it in my equation because I might have written the wrong equation. So you want to go back to the original problem with words and see if it makes sense. Number 3. The largest of 3 numbers is 3 times the smallest number, and the middle number is 1 less than twice the smallest number. the sum of the three numbers is 77. What are the three numbers? So again, this is like a little puzzle. We're trying to find some specific numbers. And we need to define our variables. So the trick here is deciding what we're looking for. And it says, well, what are the three numbers? So we're looking for three numbers. What are the numbers called? Well, we're talking about the largest number, a middle number, a smallest number. So let's define those. We're going to have a small number. We're going to have a middle number. And we're going to have a large number. Now the trick is deciding which one to just let be a single variable like x or n. So if you read through it again, the largest of three numbers is 3 times the smallest number. Well, to get the largest, I'd have to know the smallest number. Let's look at the next part. The middle number is 1 less than twice the smallest number. To get the middle one, I'd also have to know the smallest number. So that's a key that we need to start off knowing the smallest number. So let's let the smallest number be n. Now let's read it through again. The largest of three numbers is 3 times the smallest number. So that means the largest one has to be 3n, because that would be 3 times the smallest number. It says the middle number is 1 less than twice the smallest number. So 1 less than something, that remember that means you got to take away 1 from something, and we're taking it away from twice the smallest number. Well, since the smallest number is n, twice the smallest number would then be 2n. So I've defined my variables n, 2n minus 1, and 3n. Next, I need to state the equation. It says the sum of the three numbers is 77. That means if I add the three numbers, I should get 77. So we're going to add the smallest, the middle, and the largest. So we've got the small number, which is n, plus the middle number, 2n minus 1, plus the third number, the largest number, which is 3n, is equal to 77. So you can see the first, the second, the third, the smallest, the middle, the largest. So now we need to combine like terms on the left-hand side. Remember, this is 1n, so 1n plus 2n plus 3n is 6n minus 1 equals 77. And we'll add 1 to both sides so that we get 6n is 78. Divide by 6, so we get n is 13. Now we are not looking for n, we're looking for what? 3 numbers. So we've got to go back and see what the 3 numbers are. We could first go back up to how we defined them. The small one is n, so that would be 13, right? The middle one, it says the middle one is 1 less than twice the smaller. So let's do that. If we did twice the smaller one, that would be 26, and then we'd have to subtract 1. So that would be 25. That makes sense? You could also just plug in 13, 2 times 13 minus 1. And the large one, it says 3 times the smallest number. Well, we just said the smallest number is 13, so 3 times that is 39. And let's check and see if those would add up to 77. And they do add up to 77. So basically, I've sort of checked it out over here. So the last thing is to write the answer in words. The numbers are 13, 25, and 39. Okay. If you didn't get it the first time, watch it again and then try it all on your own.